Have you asked yourself a question as to why there has been a family meeting next door and all the family members have been invited apart from you? Or better yet, you're involved with a partner, you're in a marriage, and for some reason that partner seems to love you and hate you at the same time. Have you also asked yourself a question as to why most of the times when people need help, need fixing, everybody runs to you, but the very moment everything gets better with them and they're happy with their lives, they disappear out of your life, they're nowhere to be seen? But most importantly, when you talk about family, you're always going to find yourself isolated. Have you asked yourself a question as to why your own parents hate you to the max? It looks as if they cannot stand your presence. And for each and every single day, you're going through so many different kinds of punishments for no apparent reason. Again, for no apparent reason. Now, there is so much going on behind the scenes. And there's a very big reason behind those experiences. And in this video, that's exactly what I'm going to explain to you. What is exactly behind the veil and the reason for those experiences. Good morning, everyone. Good evening and good afternoon to viewers from all walks of life. This is Nikymus, and you're welcome to the channel of truth, enlightenment, freedom, and the channel of breaking empaths free. If you are new, on this channel I talk about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. I talk about spirituality, and I talk about personal and self-development. And if any of that resonates with you, I invite you guys to join us, give us a like, share the video with friends, and you may subscribe if you haven't already. And for those that have always been with us, you are welcome back. And I thank you for your love and support. Now the wind wants to block me from doing the video, but we are going to continue anyway. So listen, guys. In every dysfunctional family, there is one particular individual that they call the black sheep. The black sheep is not born in those families by coincidence. The black sheep has actually chosen those families before coming into this world. So they have actually chosen those families for very particular reasons. Dysfunctional families operate out of the reason why they call them dysfunction, that is because they operate out of some kind of a dysfunction. And normally, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. It could be particular patterns that have been following those particular families for generations. It could be narcissism, it could be toxic patterns, it could be so many things. It could be even sometimes something what they call premature deaths. Now, those could have been patterns that have been carrying on for generations, and most of the times, a lot of family members have not been aware of those patterns. So a lot of things have been happening. Everybody's asking themselves, how come there is reasons why they're not getting married? How come they cannot have children? How come they are losing their children at a certain age? And so many kinds of things, dysfunctions or particular patterns or cycles that have been carrying on for years and years in those generations. Now, at a particular point, a particular individual is born in those families. Now, ever since you was a child as a black sheep in those families, it looked as if you were the unwelcomed guest in those families. So what I'm trying to mean here is that most of the times you will find there is so many particular members in your family who almost don't like you. And for some reason you don't know why. At a very young age, you have always been isolated. It looks as if you are an alien in those families. And the truth is actually you are an alien. Reason being, you are actually the chosen one in those families. Chosen ones are sent to those families to interrupt those families and break down something what they call generational cycles. As a kid, as a black sheep, as a chosen one, you're born with a light. Now, it is because of that light, especially the moment you're born, immediately and on a very subconscious level, immediately you're born, that light starts to shine within the family, even at a young age as you're a kid. Normally, you might have noticed that because of the light that you hold within, you have also held extraordinary body features. You could have been born with a very big face. You could have been born with rare hands. Maybe one hand is longer than the other. You could have been born with one particular body part that distinguishes you from other family members. And because of that, most of the times you have been taken for granted. You've been taken as a joke. You've been mocked in your early days. And a lot of things have not gone very well with you for the moment that you were born. But little do those individuals know that actually the only individual they're isolating and mocking is actually the chosen one. As time goes on, your light starts to destabilize the family. What am I talking about here? So you will notice as a child, you will start to see so many patterns happening in those families. It could be sometimes things with the parents. And sometimes you're raising a hand. You're telling your dad, hey, listen, yesterday you talked about something, so and so. Yesterday you talked about this and that. But in my own opinion, I think you are not right at some point. So most of the times you have started at a very young age to point out the BS that is happening behind the scenes in those families. And that is exactly when those parents, they are going to know that you are actually an extraordinary child. And most of the times it is the light that you're shining within those patterns that are happening in that family that is making them extremely uncomfortable. So at a very young age, they will see you as a threat. You will find a lot of resistance growing up. You find a lot of issues. Most of the time you will be beaten. You will find that actually any small thing you do, they are invalidating each and every small thing you do because they are afraid of your light. So most of the times you are punished for no apparent reason. You will see sometimes your parents, they are beating you for nothing. You have done something small, they are telling you have done something wrong. However right it is, it doesn't matter the difference between right and wrong. Most of the times as a child, your parents will start punishing you at a very young age. You will be beaten for things you haven't done. You will be beaten for things you haven't said, and you will be beaten on behalf of other family members. You will be punished on behalf of other family members. As you continue to evolve as a child, you will start to notice that most of those dysfunctions that are happening in those families, they are extremely unbearable. So as you grow on, as you keep on evolving and growing, you are on a continuous basis going to be pointing out so many different things in the family that are not right. Of course, because as a chosen one, eventually, before your awakening, you don't even know who you are. But on a very subconscious level, you can see the evil that is going on in those families. You might have confronted your mother. You told her that you've noticed for some reason there's members of the family, they are dying at a certain age. You have noticed that in your family, for some reason, there is daughters in those families that are growing old and are aging in their parents' home. They will get married for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they come back home. They get married for 1 month, they get divorced, they come back home. So you have always seen this dysfunction from the beginning. From the beginning of time, you have always seen things that are not going right in those families. And you have always, as a black sheep in those families, pointed out those things. But because that dysfunction has been ingrained very deep within a lot of family members and has been conditioned for so many periods of time, a lot of members in those families, they cannot see what is going on exactly in that family. So a lot of them, they are literally blind. None of them can see, and no matter how hard you try to tell them, no matter how much you point out those things going on, they are always going to turn against you, and they are going to think you're the one actually disrupting the family patterns and the family dynamics. So most of the times you will see them when there's a meeting going on. Sometimes there's a little meeting going on. They have not invited you. Maybe sometimes you were outside and all of a sudden to notice that those family members were holding a meeting behind your back and actually they were talking about you for no apparent reason. And again, for no apparent reason. When you decide to take a certain direction of life, you have discovered something that you want. So you want to go your own way. Your parents interrupt you. They tell you, no, don't bother with that. Don't bother going in that direction, because however much you try, you are never going to make it. So at a very young age, at a very tender age, you have always been beaten down for no apparent reason. And your choices, life decisions and choices, they have always been invalidated. Now, as the time progresses and as the years go by, your parents start to age with time. As they age with time, the dysfunction starts to become very obvious, because at that point in time, they are a little bit more vulnerable than they were at a young age. So that is when the dysfunction starts to open up and play out in front of everybody else. And a lot of individuals, even some of the family members who used to argue and to stand against you, a lot of them, sometimes they will almost see there is something not right. Because everybody remember that parents are aging, and all the children in those families, they're also aging at a certain degree. They're also growing older and older. And the older they grow, the more it becomes very clear that there is something not right. There is some of those family members that have failed to get married. There is some of them are losing children, are losing babies, their children at a young age. There are some of them who can get pregnant. Even some of the times, there are some of them, they are embodying different kinds of diseases, and they have done that all their lives, and they don't understand why. But as they grow older, it starts to play out in front of them, and it starts to be something of a concern, because now they know there is really something going on with that family. But again, remember, as a black sheep, you have already seen these things from the beginning. But still, because of the conditioning that has been happening within those family units, they still cannot validate. They still cannot validate you, and they still cannot validate your findings. So, as a black sheep, the role you have got in those families is to break something what they call generational cycles. You have come into those families to intercept. You are going to intercept those generational cycles, and you are going to break those patterns. And that is the reason why your light, the light that you've held within ever since you was a child, and I can guarantee you this, your own parents, the very moment you were pushed out of your mother's womb, the very moment they held you in their hands, they saw this light within you. And I'm not talking about on the physical level. I'm talking about on a very deep subconscious level. They saw there was something unique about you. They could just not put a finger to it. They couldn't understand this, but they saw there was something extraordinary about you. You might have had the most beautiful smile, a smile of a little angel. You might have had something extraordinary on your life that they just couldn't describe in that time, but they noticed there was a light within you. And that light, because of those forces which is operating within those families, that is the light that has always made them extremely uncomfortable and even sometimes very hard to operate. Because remember, these parents who are running those families, they are operating a dysfunction. That dysfunction has happened for years. Now you're coming in with your own light, you're shining out those dysfunctions that are happening in those families, and those parents, because of the conditioning they have had over the years, they are not agreeing with you, they are not validating you, they are isolating you. Most of the times, they are punishing you for no apparent reasons. So if you're out there, you're a black sheep in those families, you better believe it. You had best believe you're the chosen one. You're the chosen one in those families because you are meant. You have been sent here by the universe, by God. You are sent into the families, not by coincidence. Actually, initially, before you reincarnated into those families, you have already chosen that path. You have chosen that path, and you have said you are going to go into those families, and you are the one going to put an end to that cycle. So that explains your discomfort. That explains your isolation. That explains your loneliness. That explains your punishment. And that explains exactly the reason why you have had it the roughest in those families. A lot of family members have been carrying on with their lives normally. At least, apparently, normally, like they want everybody to believe. On top of the dysfunction that has been going on, they have been trying to pretend that life is normal on the other side. But at the end of the day, as a black sheep, you will wake. As the black sheep awakens, that's when you realize that actually you have got a mission, a very massive mission to play in those family units. Why? Because you are the one who is going to blow the trumpet. You're the one who is going to tell everybody what is going on. You're the one who is going to open their eyes. And again, you're the only one who is going to open up and change and shift the whole paradigm in those families. What am I talking about by the paradigm? You are going to now shift their own perception and their own understanding of their own family that they're born into. So you are going to help them understand life in a different perspective and shift their own paradigm and their own reasoning and their own thinking. And even sometimes, most of the cases, you could most of the time be lucky. You will even open up their eyes, and they will come to the realization that they have also been involved in a dysfunctional family. So they can now see it for what it is. They can figure it out, and they can see it for what it is. And that is exactly when the whole dynamics change. The whole game changes. Because why? Because why is it changing? The black sheep, the chosen one, you're waking up. Your whole pain and discomfort and problems have been for a reason. Number one, you've been going through the training from the universe. For the mission of the black sheep is the hardest mission you can ever imagine on this planet. A chosen one, not even about the black sheep, a lot of chosen ones around the world, those are the individuals, they have had a very, very difficult upbringing. Very hard families, very difficult life. They could not almost push themselves to the next level. All their life has been a disaster. But that is because you're going through a specific training from the universe. That training is supposed to build you emotionally, physically, mentally. Because the mission ahead of you is much more stronger than you even believe, than you can even ever imagine. So it will explain a lot of things that have been going on in your childhood. And when everything makes sense, that is exactly when you're going to know your exact mission and your purpose and what you're here for. So, you're black sheep out there. There's a mission ahead of you. You have got a very big role to play, not only in your families, but to the whole world around you. Anybody comes into close contact with you, those individuals, they will never stay the same. Anybody meets you, they come into close contact with you, their life is going to change in a very much more significant way. But again, I've always said, change sometimes is inevitable, but also change is very important for somebody to move to the next level. So anybody comes into close contact with you, those individuals, their life is going to change and is going to move in a positive direction. So as a black sheep, you may be out there, you're just waking up. You started to look behind the veil. You start to see a lot of patterns, a lot of these things that have been going on, and you have been always asking yourself a lot of questions as to why was it always you? Why me and why me and why me? Now you know the answer. That is because you are the chosen one. And your life, the moment you understand that you're the chosen one, your life is never ever going to be the same. But again, it is also going to come with a lot of consequences, because there is so many things that are going to happen again with the family members. Sometimes they will distance themselves from you. Sometimes you find them gossiping, mobbing, and ganging up on you. Why? Because, again, it all comes back to the light. You have got the light within, and that light, the more it shines within the people around you and your own family, the more it drags a lot of people out of their comfort zone. The more it takes people by surprise, and the more it makes people look much more serious within themselves and find exactly what it is they need to do. Because you, again, it's about your light. You are shining that light within them. Sometimes it's going to be uncomfortable, but sometimes you may find that actually, as uncomfortable as it seems, it is also going to change their entire lives forever. So let me know in this video if you've been a black sheep in your family. Let me know exactly what has been your life experiences as regards your family, as regards your schools, as regards your friendships, as regards your relationships. Let me know how life has played out for you as long as you've been a black sheep in your family. But again, everything has been happening for a reason. Behind closed doors, the universe has always got your back, and the divine has always got your back. You're protected, you're guarded, and you're moving towards becoming a better version of yourself. Leave us a comment in this video, guys. Let us know what you think about this video. Share and subscribe and comment. You can always book a session with me, donate and support to this cause. Everything you need is in the description of this video. Until then, much love and blessings. Desmond signing out. It's windy, but I appreciate each and every single day. Peace, and I'll catch you in my next one.